to us is that we might have an excellent idea we have noted down, a paragraph, but we forgot to note down from which book we have taken it, from which page we have taken it. Finally, that bit of information will be totally useless for us. But if you don't have the page number, that book may be in some library which you visited 3 years back. It will be totally useless for you. So whatever information you put down, remember to note down the citation details in full. Another little thing important, but at the same time, we often kind of do not take it seriously. Dear friend, please mute that mic.
Please unmute Dr. Lal. I request to host.
Oh, I'm sorry. How long ago was I unmuted? Was I muted? Sorry about that. Yeah.
Just 15 to 20 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. I was looking.
No problem. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I was looking at deadlines, and again, related to deadlines, very often we have problems. We are not able to keep the deadlines because of so many issues. We have unexpected problems all the time, and this again, believe me, it happens to everybody. And so each, just as much as I said that each individual is a unique researcher, in this case also you are unique. You have your own problem. Your friends have another problem. You have issues at home. Health-related problems we can have difficulties you encounter with your guide due to many reasons. So all these things are there, and very often you lose very many valuable months because of that reason. It's not that reason alone that troubles you. It is your worry about that reason that often causes trouble. So that is where you need to face these issues calmly. You have a hurdle, patiently wait, solve that hurdle, and go on. Your worry about it. So that's where face calmly. Oh God. Okay. Yeah, and remember, in all your difficulties while doing research, you are not alone. Your case is not unique in this case. In case of challenges while doing research, everybody has that. And then the second part of my presentation is on ethics. Why should we discuss ethics in academia? I like skipping that. And there are 3 unethical research contexts that we have, which we might be doing, but we may not be aware. That is why, these all look like gross things like falsification, fabrication, plagiarism, looks like very gross things, which we would say, I'm not going to do that. But without knowing, sometimes we end up doing all these things. So 3 important unethical research contexts that we need to keep in mind. One is falsification, which is manipulating research data to create a false impression. So when you do your PhD, you kind of want to create the data doesn't sound impressive enough, and you slightly manipulate the data to make it look impressive. This is something that very many researchers are tempted to do. This is something that we should be very careful about. The second is fabrication, which again not many people do, but in research that is also found not very uncommonly. Creating fraudulent data, fabricating totally different data is brought in to substantiate an argument. So here the problem is very often we do this so that we want our PhD open defense to look good, the evaluators to be impressed. But something we forget is that our PhD thesis is going to be with us throughout our life. As long as you are going to be in the academic field, even after you leave the academic field, your PhD thesis will be there in some library, in some repository, and it will haunt you throughout our life. So this is one important point that we need to remember when we talk about ethics in academia. And these 5 reasons to be ethical while doing research and publication is that there is one life. One second I thought is very interesting. This is I'll share the link with you from where I have taken this. There's a little manual that I found very useful. It protects life and the planet. It is written here. We don't often think of that, but our research is actually part of a process which ensures quality of life in this world in one way or the other. So the ethical practices that we follow or not determines even the sustenance of the life on earth. And it's very important for our reputation, not immediate in the immediate times, but in the long run too. And again, the fifth point is very interesting. It is the only way in which we should be doing things. So this is the most common thing that we encounter, plagiarism. We often talk a lot about plagiarism. What happens in plagiarism is one author deliberately uses another's work without permission, credit, or acknowledgement. Plagiarism can be of many forms here. See, you can plagiarize data, you could plagiarize words and phrases, you could plagiarize ideas and concepts. So plagiarism has varying levels of severity. How much of a person's work have you taken, and what have you taken, if at all you do this? But I think plagiarism is rather common. Again, this is something we are guilty of without realizing the seriousness of it. But it's good to be aware of it so that we can avoid getting into trouble with plagiarism software at the end of your research, and also to ensure that we are doing an ethical kind of work. So the basic thing we need to remember is whatever you take from another source should be cited. So we have a general feeling, many researchers have the general feeling, many supervisors have the general feeling that we need to say very new things. That is not the case. A PhD thesis is not a new thing. It is built on all the knowledge that has already happened. So there is absolutely nothing wrong in acknowledging the sources that you have looked at. So the more citations there are, more acknowledgements you make, it's only the better. So don't feel that you have to write a lot of original things. You certainly can borrow ideas, you can certainly take views from other writing, but only thing is we need to acknowledge it all the time. So how do we do this? One important thing, I already mentioned it some while ago, that we need to keep track of the sources we use, so that after years later, when you start really writing, you should know exactly from where that particular quotation or that extract you had taken. And make sure you fully acknowledge and properly cite the original source in your paper. And even if you don't use, there are different ways of doing it. One is paraphrasing. I'm looking only at paraphrasing, not the rest. Now we can do, we use secondary sources in 2 ways. We may take exact quotations. And at that point, I would also like to say that it's not a very good idea to have large chunks quoted, even if you acknowledge it. Some people have half a page of something quoted in their dissertation, which isn't a very good idea. The maximum lines you quote can be, say, 5 or 4 or 5. This is again a self-imposed discipline. There is no rule about it. You can, quote pages and pages if you want, but that will look as if you are lazy. So what we need is the idea can be paraphrased, but when you paraphrase the ideas in someone's book, the idea doesn't become yours. Still, there also you need to very, very meticulously acknowledge the place where the matter has been borrowed. And another thing that happens often in our dissertation is we cite our own articles, self-citation. So when I write my PhD, I will cite an article written by my research guide or my own article, there is nothing unethical about it. But when it is done intentionally, sometimes So that this can be legitimate. This can be a legitimate way of reference to earlier findings, but self citations can sometimes be unduly made in the attempt to inflate an individual's citation count. When that happens, it again reflects badly on you as a scholar. Finally, a word about predatory journals. We need to be very, very careful about publication. This is not research, but the sub category of research where we publish our research work, and be very, very aware of cloned journals. Many of my scholars and uh, colleagues, scholars who have published and finally found that that particular journal is a hijacked journal or a cloned journal or an unauthorized journal. So be very careful about that, and be very wary when you have a big conference happening and there is somebody promises that all the work will be published in a Scopus index journals. It's very tricky. It's not very easy to do that. So be very cautious about. Sometimes it's very expensive also. Unethical publishing is something. Well, there is more I would have talked about it, but I do not want to do it because that is not the idea now. So this is my brief presentation. I have been talking about the ethical aspects of research and also personal aspects that a researcher should keep in mind in the process. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, I will.
Yes, sir, you
Thank you,
are
sir,
audible.
for your. Thank you for providing valuable insights and sharing your thoughts and expertise to help participants to navigate the challenges of PhD thesis writing. Uh, we will also have question and answer session at the end of this workshop. So participants can ping their messages in the chat box, or at the end, you can ask questions. Now, without taking much of your time, I request my colleague Kishore Thakre to introduce the next guest for this workshop, Professor. Hello, Kishore sir, are you there?
Hello. Yes,
Ah,
sir.
yes. Yeah. Please introduce Professor.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Yes, yes. Hello
Please,
and
over to
good
you.
evening, uh, all the organizers for this workshop, ELTAI Khandesh chapter, and all the attendees and the key speakers for this today's workshop. Good evening to all of you. Now we are in the second phase of this workshop, and this is the honor given to me by my senior, my colleague, Dr. Dinanath Patil sir, and my research guide, Dr. Dadasaheb sir, to introduce the second key speaker, Dr. Mangayar Karaisi J. Uh, it is also, I'm hearing this name right from the beginning, Dr. Mangai. Uh, to introduce ma'am, I would say that ma'am is serving as an associate professor and head of the Department of English department in the Esiraj College for Women. Uh, in her educational qualification, ma'am has completed masters in 1995 with first class in English language and literature, and subsequently, ma'am has completed MPhil in 1996 from University of Madras and PhD in 2012 from the University of Madras in the area English language teaching. Uh, After that, she kept contributing in the field of research by giving her research output by completing two projects. First one is on virtual learning, and that was supported by our ELTAI, English Language Teachers Association, and second was ENSTC. Um, After that, ma'am has guided successfully 12 PhD scholars and more than 50 MPhil students, ma'am has guided. And after that, ma'am has kept participating in so many kinds of the research projects, many kinds of the programs as workshops, conferences, seminars. Some of them I will put here that ma'am was also invited as a panelist uh, for the English Language Teaching Institute of Symbiosis, as well as she was also invited there as a chairperson in English Language Teaching Institute of Symbiosis. After that, once ma'am has has been also invited as a keynote speaker at the National Institute of Education, Sri Lanka. Then, as a convener in the for the Department of English, Sri Sankara Arts and Science College. Then, ma'am has published so many papers, edited the books and reports, and those have got published in the renowned journals. Uh, some of them are a study of literary classics and their Bollywood adaptations of Sanjay Leela Bhansali in the UGC Care Research Journal, Journal of Interdisciplinary Cycle Research, Educational Technology in Pedagogical Practices of Higher Education during COVID-19. Then another paper that I can see here, that is English language teaching for sustainable development, reimaging teaching, learning and assessment in 21st century. That was in the Journal of Interdisciplinary Cycle Research. And another was using Bollywood adaptations of Shakespeare's plays as a teaching tool in modern classrooms. And that the paper got published in Asian Journal of English Studies. After that, in in that Sri Lanka Journal of South Asian Studies, MAM's one paper has got published that was contemporary chicklit and arranged marriages, reflections of diasporic consciousness of Muslim Asian women in Britain. So there are total 11 papers ma'am have published so far. And after that, in her academic achievement, there are a number of things that I can highlight here. That in the ma'am was invited as a convener for the national chapter of ELTAI. Then then ma'am was has also published some materials on ELT, on this topic of ELT. Then ma'am has developed MOOCs also, that was developed a self-paced MOOC course on TESOL. And then ma'am is also on the board of on that board of Ministry of Education as an advisory member. So this is a very important thing that we have such a great lady in the field of education, research, English language teaching, as well as in the field of research. She is here today with us to guide on the topic, uh, optimal use of secondary source and citation rules. So once again, thanks to the organizers for giving me this opportunity to introduce today's second key speaker, Dr. Mangayak Mangyarkar, to go ahead with your session. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Professor Kishore, for the wonderful introduction. At the outset, I would like to thank all the organizers, Dr. Vaibhav and Khandesh chapter, and the other speaker, Professor Lal, to have given me encouragement, inputs along these lines, and the choice of topic and other things. It's a very interesting topic we are going to deal with now. Already, Professor Lal has given a lot of inputs how what to do, what not to do, and how important to cite articles, and at the same time sources. So my area, use of secondary sources and citation and Professor Lal made a mention beginning, middle, organize it properly, and you have to support that with the chosen area. Methodology, and you have to describe your methodology and what are the research methods you use, and you have to present the findings in a perfect way, and then you have to provide the discussions used, and finally when you conclude, you have to summarize the whole research process, and then you you have to suggest a future uh, scope for the research, and then finally you have to add on with your reference bibliography. If it is ELT, you have to support it with appendix. Next, we'll go to choosing a topic. All of us, once we are done with the broad area, will struggle. You have to, as Sir mentioned, Professor Lal mentioned, you have to read a lot to fine tune, to narrow down your topic. Narrowing down your topic can be done later point of time. But at the same time, when you choose a topic, you have to keep three things in your mind. First one, what's interesting? I already mentioned you have to approach your research passionately. You should have passion towards that particular area, chosen area. Select a topic that intrigues you, which comes to your mind every now and then, and that prompts you to come up with some idea, some solution, some finding. So you just think about it deeply, and it should have relevance to the particular field of study, or the particular trend. It should the trend, the idea, and it should be suitable. It should have some relevance. Ensure that your topic is relevant to the field of study. That's more important. It should not deviate from that, your topic. And feasibility, you just first you have to check the availability of resources and data. So I'll give you one shortcut method how to do that and all. When you zero in on your topic, when you zero in on your research area, you have to Google it and see what are the reference sources available. If you have more than 50 articles on the particular area of study, then you can close your eyes and just go on. You can choose that area. When you struggle for secondary sources, when you struggle for something, I had an experience. One of our scholars, she had good primary sources. We just started off, but we were unable to find any secondary sources, as it was different. The We just string the phases of women and all, and we were unable to find any secondary sources at that point of time. Then we just supported with theory. It was fully the whole uh, uh, um, thesis was just supported by theory. So you should have some strong affirmation, and you should be strong in your area of study. For that, as Professor Lal mentioned, you should read a lot. Once you register, spend time, read which is relevant to your area of study, and then you can choose your sources itself. You should take at least 6 months time to choose your area, your primary sources. So conducting, we have come to, after selecting the topic, we have come to how to conduct a research. So already I mentioned primary research and secondary research. Primary research, it involves data directly from the original source, and for example, surveys, interviews, observations, and experiments. And the secondary research, it involves analyzing the existing data, whatever existing data available in the field of in your chosen field. And then you have, for example, you can consult academic journals, industry reports, or government publications, or anything relevant to your study. Now I have an interesting video for you to sum up what we have discussed so far. Could you hear the audio?
No, ma'am.
No.
In research methodology, primary and secondary sources are two types of information that researchers rely on to gather and analyze data. Primary sources are first-hand accounts or original materials that provide direct evidence or information about a particular topic. Examples of primary sources include original research studies, interviews, surveys, diaries, letters, speeches, and official documents. On the other hand, secondary sources are created based on primary sources. They interpret, analyze, or summarize the information found in primary sources. Secondary sources can be books, articles, commentaries, documentaries, or academic papers. Both primary and secondary sources have their own value in research.
So now you know what is primary source and a secondary source and how to choose other things. Now, what are the research methods available? There are 3 points to consider. First one, qualitative. Under qualitative methodology, you have to focus on the concepts and the experiences, example, interviews and the focus groups and other things. Under quantitative, you have to focus on numerical data or statistical data is available by conducting surveys or experiments. The third one, combination of both qualitative and quantitative approach. So it's up to you based on the research area you choose. You have to choose your methodology. The next one is data collection. Data collection, surveys, interviews, experiments, and observation. It focuses on data collection. These are the ways in which you could collect your data. Now we have come to our business, that is importance of secondary sources. Secondary sources, it analyzes and interpret the primary data or original source collected by a researcher. The purpose is to provide context to your idea, synthesize your idea, and to show that, to reveal your broader understanding of your topic. So here the advantages are, it just shows your time management, and at the same time it just saves your time, and it is cost effective too. You have low cost access to the existing data, and it offers insights into long-term trends and patterns too. As Professor already mentioned, academic journals, you have to look out for peer-reviewed articles. You have to undergo rigorous evaluation by experts before publication. as sir already mentioned, we do misguided, we do sometimes submit our articles and we wait endlessly for publication. Sometimes they promise they publish in their proceedings and all. So you have to be very careful while submitting your article. Our articles, it's nothing but our hard work. We do a lot of research and then we pen down ideas. So it is very, very important for you to ensure quality and credibility of the journal you are trying to publish. And first, you have to summarize the existing research. You have to provide comprehensive reviews of previous studies and findings, and you have to highlight the trends, gaps, and advancement. If you're doing in-depth analysis, you have to offer critical evaluation of methodologies used and results. You have to analyze the results and you have to present it properly, and conclusion of any other studies, and you have to discuss the implication and future directions of the research consulted. So how we are going to implement all that? We already we have chosen the topic and we have come to the primary and secondary sources, and we just discussed the methodologies we used, and then how we are going to go about it and all. And after the methodology, and what are all the uh, uh, articles you can consult, and how you can compile everything, how you could present it, and what are all the research areas we can focus on and all. And now the implementation stage is a crucial stage. The importance of implementation stage is essential for staying updated. You should update yourself every day. It's changing every day. Will get more ideas, more advancements in that particular field or your chosen area, and the developments on the emerging trends. That's more important for a researcher. And it just serves as authoritative and reliable sources for academic and professional work. There are other types. You have two types of journals available. Um, Focus on specific field. For example, uh, um, uh, if it is our chosen area, and you have to look out for interdisciplinary journal too, and then you try to um, um, span your idea, and then try to bring in more ideas into your research. So academic journals are vital resources for our researchers. It provides peer-reviewed journals, credible and comprehensive information we gain through that. And it plays a crucial role in advancing knowledge, and it just fosters scholarly communication among peers. Books. So how you are going to consult books? Comprehensive analysis of topics. It provides in-depth explanation of subjects using various sources. It integrates multiple perspectives, and uh, your research finding, it should give a holistic view on the topic chosen. If it is a historical context, you have to give a historical context, and you have to give background information, and if yeah, you have to give a framework, historical framework, and then you have to help the reader to understand the evolution of ideas and the theories over a period of time. And this is very, very important. You have to provide a theoretical framework. And what theory you have, even in your DC meeting itself, the DC experts, they'll tell you how important it is to support your argument with the theoretical background. So for that, you have to discuss, you have to consult various secondary sources, and choose the right theory to support your argument. You can have one or more theories too related to your area of study, and you have to facilitate the understanding of complex concepts by providing a structured theory. That's what you have to support your argument with a clear viewpoint with the help of a theory. So that's more important. And then mm, conducting research through government reports or organizational reports. So how to use reports in research, and you have to when you use government reports, for example, we work on some schools, and how many schools are there, and other things, so that and all, when you for that, when you approach government officers, you have to use government reports or that organizational reports as a resource here, as a secondary source. So you have to provide authoritative data, and um, you have to analyze on various topics, and if it is a census data or economic indicators, and you have policy evaluation, everything, you have to provide a proper data in a proper way. For that, you have to consult your research methodology, and what methodology you are going to use it. And we have when you present data, you have to use statistical methods, and you have to make it clear to the readers. If it is if you're using organizational reports, you have to cite it properly. It should be published by companies or NGOs or research institution. It should offer industry insights, and it should be you have to present it in a proper way to make your readers understand that. Next one, how to use media articles in our research. Media articles are nothing but our news article, and it should have some contact to the current events and trends, and it helps readers to understand the significance of the particular event in a broader context, and it should be related to your area of study, and it offers insights into societal impact, or how it impacts the society, about the public opinion and all. So these are the types of articles, media articles we come across: news articles and feature articles. News articles, it's just a report on recent the event, or it provides factual information to you. Featured articles are it just gives you in-depth understanding of that particular article you're consulting, a particular area of study. And then importance is, it just keeps you informed about contemporary issues and debates on the particular area chosen by you. It serves as a source of qualitative data. It will come under qualitative data, and you can use it for case studies. Next, databases. So databases, the purpose of databases, using databases, it facilitate efficient research by organizing vast amounts of information, and it enables access to credible sources, and it gives a comprehensive data sets to you. And then how databases are important. Databases are important because it is essential for conducting literature reviews, and it gives background, it strengthens your background research, and it supports data driven analysis and evidence based conclusions and all. And finally, next we'll come to evaluating secondary sources. How to evaluate secondary sources? So you have to provide relevance to the topic chosen. So you have to provide the relation between the research question and the sources you are just presenting. Ensure the source addresses your specific area of study, and then consider that information uh, contributes to your topic. And the target audience, determine the source is intended for a scholarly audience. It is for a scholarly audience. You should keep that in mind, and the general public too. So you have to use simple language while discussing, while presenting that data. And then relevant sources, it should align with the level of detail and complexity needed for your research. So these are all important while evaluating your secondary sources. So evaluating your secondary sources, you should not be biased. You have to be the third person. You have to identify the potential biases, consider the author's perspective, and if there are any affiliations that influences your viewpoint or their viewpoint, avoid all that. um, um, uh, uh, you have to present it, you have to consider that viewpoint, the author's viewpoint, but you have to present it in your own way. You should not alter the ideas. So that's more important. uh, look look for signs of partiality. You should have something in your mind, so it should be combined with the idea of your author, such as emotional language sometimes, or lack of opposing viewpoints and all. And methodology transparency, that also should be followed here. You have to evaluate how the data was collected and analyzed, and reliable sources should clearly outline their methods and acknowledge limitations. So now we are going to see how to use it optimal use of secondary sources. We use it in broadly, and then we fill up our passage with optimal usage. So that is there. And start with secondary research. So secondary research, in the middle of your research period, you'll get into secondary research. That's a crucial period. So you have to you should have some foundational understanding. You should have understanding of the foundation before conducting primary research. And then you have to combine with primary research, use your secondary data to inform and guide your primary research efforts. And benchmarking is important here. Utilize secondary data as a benchmark to evaluate your primary findings, primary research findings. And citation rules here, uh, building on existing knowledge by citing origin. So already Professor Lal made a mention. He had given you a lot of ideas how to cite an article, and what to do and what not to do and all. I've just given you, you have to acknowledge it. Very, very important. That's more important when you write. So by citing original works, you show how your research builds upon or it relates to your previous studies, and the sense of continuity in the academic conversation and all. The acknowledgement helps to create a network of knowledge, and it allows readers to trace the evolution of ideas and theories. If they want to look back on, if they want to get more idea, that would be really helpful. So the citation rules, it really helps them to go beyond that. If they want to read more on that, if they want to work on that, it would be helpful for future research too. For the even you can use that in the scope of research. So citation, it really helps them to move on to the next level. Citation rules. Under citation rules, first and foremost is to avoid plagiarism. We have plagiarism check too nowadays in the university with the certificate, but it should not cross beyond 30% and all. With that certificate alone, we can go on to the next level. So that's more important. You should not copy and paste. In our PG time and UG time, whenever our professors ask us, we just uh, uh, get into all these things. So avoid plagiarism. So plagiarism is nothing but copying everything others works without any acknowledgement or anything. There are footnotes and other things, um, and unethical practice. It will lead, already Professor Lal made a mention of that, it will lead to serious academic consequences, and including loss of credibility and disciplinary action and all will be taken. So you should avoid all that. And proper citation, it will definitely provide a clear path for readers to identify the sources of your information. Already I made a mention of that. And under citation rules, we have to enhance the credibility of your work. You have to demonstrate through your research and how you are going to do that. Well cited work, it really signals to readers that you have engaged with the existing literature and have a comprehensive understanding of your topic. And it reveals that you have not only conducted your own research, it is original, and at the same time, it will be considered as the original work of yours, and perspectives and findings of others in the field too. So citation, it really helps. At the same time, you should not copy the entire thing. You can elaborate on that. So all these will help. Plagiarism already we discussed. And under citation rules, common citation styles, already I made a mention. APA is there, and then MLA is there. Chicago, it is often used in history and other social sciences. Usually in our area, for literature and language studies we use APA. For language studies we use APA, and MLA for even other for our subject, we consult MLA handbook. And for ALT, we use APA. And for the other one, Chicago and Chicago Manual, we use it for history and social sciences. And basic citation format, books and authors, title of the book, publisher. If it is a journal article, author, year, title of the article, journal name, volume, page range. If it is a website, nowadays we consult websites too. If it is a website, author, year, title of the web page, and website name, URL, and all you have to use. And I have one more video to show. Let me see whether it will work on. With that, I'll wind up the session. Hope it was useful for you. And then thank you very much for the wonderful opportunity given. And I profusely thank Dr. Vaibhav to have come up with a topic relevant to all research scholars. We've got overwhelming response. I was happy when it was mentioned by Dr. Vaibhav this morning, and I hope I contributed something to you all. Happy research. I'm not going to say best wishes. Happy research. Be happy. Enjoy your research. You just get into your research area with lot of interest and happiness and other things. Do it with full passion, with full enthusiasm. That will lead to the best research, and then that will bring your originality in your research area. So with that, I'll wind up this session. If you could listen to that video, I'll play the video. Otherwise, I'll wind up and say thank you to all the organizers, Kishore sir and others, Khandesh chapter, for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. You can share your video.
Again, sir, I'll try to share the video.
I think there is some trouble sharing the video.
Yeah, let's go for vote of
1 second,
thanks.
sir. Just wait, sir. I'll share the
Yes,
audio. I'll just play
yes,
it with audio.
yes, madam. Yes.
I think by the time Madam starts her video, let's go for vote of thanks without wasting any time. We can play the video, audio later towards the end. Is the answer?
Ah, yes. Ma'am, may I proceed for vote of thanks?
Yes,
I
sir.
think,
Yes, sir. Just
yeah,
proceed.
yeah. Thank you, thank you. At the outset, I would like to thank both of our resource persons, Professor C. Lal from Institute of English, University of Kerala. Sir has provided insightful information on ethics and praxis of thesis writing and really enlighten our participants who have the quest to get the nuances of thesis writing. And in the second session, Professor Dr. Mangai Yarkarasi J. Madam from Itiras College of Women, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Madam has recently just finished her session on optimal use of secondary sources and citation rules. At the outset, I, on behalf of my college, MGSM'S Dadasaheb Dr. Suresh Patil College, Chopda, Dist.Jalgaon, Maharashtra, and ELTAI Khandesh chapter, extend my sincere gratitude to both of our learned resource persons, Professor C. Lal and Professor Mangai Karasi, Madam. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation and gracing this occasion with your scholarly presence. And my special thanks to Professor C. Lal. Instead of his ill health, sir has joined and delivered his talk. Thank you, sir, if you're there. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you, sir.
I'm here. I'm here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for your session. And extremely sorry that we troubled you.
Not at all. I'm very happy we could do
Yeah,
this.
yeah. And I would like to thank uh, Professor Vaibhav Sabnis, sir, head of Khandesh chapter, and who is always a true academician, great academician who always helps us, and the inspiration behind all these activities. Thank you, sir, for coordinating this PhD thesis writing workshop, irrespective of your busy schedule and all this. Thank you very much. I would like to thank Professor Hemant Kumar, sir, for providing the wonderful introduction to this online workshop. I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to Professor uh, Vihire Madam and my colleague Kishore Thakre for introducing the distinguished guests for today's function. I extend my vote of thanks to my colleagues from my college, my respected principal Dr. D. A. Surunja sir, Vice Principal Professor Ken Sonia sir, for providing all the support. And lastly, uh, it would be a great pleasure to extend my vote of thanks to dear participants who have joined from nook and corner of India, from various colleges and universities, from start to end. Nobody has left, and almost 300 participants have joined online, and more than 700 have registered for this workshop. So, I, from the bottom of my heart, I extend my sincere thanks to all the research scholars who have joined this workshop. And by this note, uh, I just, with the permission of all my colleagues and dignitaries, I declare that this session is over. And I have already shared the feedback link in the comment box. So participants can give their valuable feedback. Uh, we also encourage participants to provide us some insights about future topics of conducting such workshops. So your valuable feedback is welcome. And immediately you will get your certificates. Over to you, Subnis, sir.
Thank
Thank you.
you, sir. Sir, I'm ready with the video.
Yeah,
Shall we play the
Yes,
video?
madam.
yeah, we'll
Sorry
be
to
very
Yes, madam.
happy
sorry for that.
to end this workshop with your video.
Yes,
Thank you, Professor Lal. Thank you, Mangai Madam. Thank you, all participants.
with referencing is like telling them to can't live without knowing, know much about it. In this video, we get a